Introduction to the keyboard. This keyboard that I'm playing with has got 76 keys. And the middle key, roughly the middle of the keyboard, is middle C. I won't be taught before the two black notes. It's the middle of the keyboard and it's called middle C. Going upwards from C, there are 8 notes that make all music. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. The range from the first C that I played to the last C that I played in that scale is an octave. So if somebody asked you how many notes in an octave, you know the answer. 8 notes in an octave. Those notes that I've just played, introducing you to the notes, is the scale of C. It takes its name from the root note, the first note that you play within the scale. So the scale of C So the next thing to learn is the fingering. So there are 8 notes in the scale, 8 notes in the octave, but I've only got 5 fingers. So that's going to be awkward. So I'm going to need to use a technique, a bit of jiggery pokery. And the way we do it is to play the first 3 notes with those first, starting with the thumb, those first 3 fingers. So, and then I put the thumb underneath to the F. Now I have enough fingers to finish the scale. Same in reverse. Third finger over. I'll do that for you again. That's the scale of C, and that fingering is important because you won't be able to, in the technique I'm going to teach you about playing chords with your right hand as well as the tune, you will not be able to hit the notes properly if you don't remember that fingering. If you know that you're going to have to hit a higher note, wherever you are on the keyboard, you're going to have to operate this technique of putting your finger under to get the 8th note, 8 notes all included with 5 fingers. Right. While we're on it, you notice that there are black notes in between here. And we didn't touch them. No, we didn't, because there's a pattern to how we got that scale. A good way of remembering it, but you don't need to remember it. Just know of it, because you can find any other scale if you can know this pattern. And the pattern was miss 1, miss 1, don't miss 1, miss 1, miss 1, miss 1, don't miss 1. And if you know that pattern, you can do it from anywhere. I could do the scale of D without being shown what it is by doing that. Miss 1, miss 1, miss 1, don't miss 1, miss 1, miss 1, miss 1, don't miss 1. So that's the pattern, and it'll always be the same, and you can learn any scale by remembering that pattern. But you won't need to, because we're going to do learning scales, and you're going to start with this lesson by learning the scale of C. Right, so the next thing are chords. Now, you will have learnt that chords, another name for them is triads, because they've got 3 notes in them. The name of the chord takes it from the root of the first note in the chord. So the chord of C is C, E, and G. Played together, they are chord. Chord of F chord of G, but we're staying in C for now, so that's a chord, a triad, 3 notes. Now, like I said earlier, the way that I'm going to teach you how to play the keyboard is the way I play it, where I can play the tune and the chords with my right hand, leaving my left hand to do some pretty nifty bass. Now, you wouldn't be able to do that if you were just playing your chord in one position, because the notes move around, obviously, to make a melody. So you have to use, and it's also good for if you're backing someone to sing, you have to use what's known as a variation. So a variation is fine, providing it still contains the same 3 notes. So C, E, G, if I moved the C there and put G and E in, I've still got the chord of C. If I move the G here and the C where it was and the E where it was, I've still got the chord of C. But listen to the difference. They're all the same chord, but they contain the same notes, but they're played variated, and it makes different sounds, but keeps you in the same key. So that would, when you're playing your tune, is what you're going to need to be able to play the same chord at the same time as you're playing the tune. But also, when you're backing someone singing, a song just played over and over again like that, when they're singing in C, is boring. If you were able to variate it, so that's called variation on chords. And again, this is only an introduction. You're not going to remember this now because we'll be doing these in separate lessons. Right, I don't want to go too far into things now, but we're just going to finish off by looking at these black notes, because they can't be forgotten. They exist on the keyboard and they are played. Mainly, they come into play when you change from the scale of C to another scale, such as D, because you remember the pattern I told you about, where it's miss one, don't miss one. That's still going to apply, and then that's going to involve a black note. So missing one, I'm already on a black note. So that's where they come in, but they have to have a name. And it would be confusing to just call them F or G or A or B, because that's G, that's F. So they have a name, but they're very greedy because they've got 2 names. So starting at C again, if I was to go up to the black note, I would be raising that tone by half a tone. If I raised it to D, I'm raising it by a full tone. But raising it only half a tone takes me to that black note. And because I was going up, it gets its name from the key I came from. And I came from C, so that became C sharp, because I raised it. If I was on the key of D and I was going down the way, I came from the key of D and hit that same black note, which now takes its name from D, and because I lowered the tone half a tone, it becomes flat. So it gets the name D flat. So from C to C sharp, D to D flat, it's the same note. And it could be written on music as anyone you wanted it to be, but the method is, if I'm going down, it's flat. If I'm going up, it's sharp. And that goes for all of them. So that's D flat or E sharp. That's F sharp or G flat. That's G sharp or A flat. And that's B flat or A sharp. There are no sharps or flats between the keys that don't have any black notes in between them. They're just the names that they are, E and F, or B and C. They have no black notes, so they can't be flat. So They're a bit greedy, are the black notes. It's just like a woman who's got married. She can use a maiden name or a married name. She has two names. These keys have two names. Just bearing in mind where they're coming from. Going up, the sharp, to going down, the flat. Right, I'm going to leave it there on this first introductory one, but let's just have a quick recap. Middle of the keyboard, no matter how big your keyboard is, whether it's a full-size piano or a tiny 32 keys keyboard, the middle of it is going to be middle C. The C above it is going to be C1, and above that C2, and above that C3. Going down would be -1, -2, and I don't have a -3 on this one. It becomes silly really when they're too basic. If you've got a full-size piano, you hardly ever use the ones down there because they're too basic. The scale of C has no black notes and contains 8 notes. No black notes in the key of C, and it's a chromatic scale because it's one after the other. The name of the notes: C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. All the notes you need to know in music. The chord is a triad consisting of 3 notes. In the scale of C, it would be C, E, G. Played together becomes a chord, and that chord can be variated as long as it contains the same 3 notes. So the only thing after that was the black notes. Going up is a sharp, coming down is a flat, and it takes the name of its name comes from where the note you came from. So up, sharp, down, flat. So that's it on this introductory video. I'll get my camera set up on a permanent tripod for the next one so I can show you the left hand. And I want you to practice the scale of C over and over again using the technique with the fingering. So you can get faster. Start slow. And speed yourself up. It's so important that you can get that scale, and because you're going to use that same technique for all the scales that we're going to learn. And then finish off by practicing the variations on the chord of C. Just remember C, E, G, and you can play that variated as long as all the same notes still exist. Alright, that'll start you off, and I'll try and get this on a tripod for the next one so we can do the left hand and move on from there. Good luck, catch you later.